A very good evening, and it's exactly the hour clock where I am. I don't know where you're at. I don't know what time it is, but it is short time here on the United Hotspot. My name is Webb, and we look ahead to what's coming. Manchester United is bound to take on Chelsea in midweek on Thursday. After that, we'll be back home taking on Liverpool after traveling from London at the Stamford Bridge. It should be an important game, but the expectations, the hope is going down after what was a very forgettable performance against Brentford. But we need to pick ourselves up. But the talk for me this time around is going to be mostly about what's happening with Man United and the whole talk and speculation about the boss Erik Ten Hag, because we lose one game like we expected. We lose one game and Ten Hag out will come back and start training again. Of course, I was among those who felt at some point I was done with Erik Ten Hag. At some point, I got sympathy. I started to sympathize with him. But honestly, right now, I think I may not dwell so much on the manager, and those who want him out can go on and push that agenda. But for me, most importantly, we need to focus on these players. The question is, are these players really ganging up to force the manager out? Are they giving enough to the manager or to the team, to the badge, in fact, I should say? Let me even turn it for you to see it. Are these players giving enough to this badge of Manchester United? That's the question. Welcome again to the United Sport. I will be here for about 30 minutes, just digging critically, brutally, dissecting player per player at Manchester United. We can look at the manager and attack him all we want, but we've got to honestly look down at all these individual players and say, really, are they giving enough? Are they giving enough for the badge? Not the manager. They might not want the manager because only 11 players start a game of football. Of course, many of those who are not starting are going to be frustrated, to be happy. But they need to be giving their best for the badge. They're earning crazy money. It's not Erik Ten Hag paying them. It's the club paying them. It's the fans paying them. We pay money to watch this team. I've paid my money over. I've spent before lots of money. I've bought a ticket of £400 and spent more around that to go and watch this team. So definitely, we've got to be able to demand results and performances from these players. They earn crazy wages per week. They have got to be performing. Question is, are they? Let's look at all of them. And before we go into the summer transfer window, we know the manager is under pressure, is under fire. But the reality is these players have failed really to be good, to be consistent, like he said, and we cannot expect him to force them to play football if they don't want to play. So what do? Get rid of them. That's what I think. Now, I'm going to get to the players in just a bit. With the boss Erik Ten Hag, obviously, there are things we can fault him for. There are things we can blame him for, and we've mentioned most of them probably. His tactics at times do not make sense, but at times they do. And all we have said it all about Erik Ten Hag. Kept his head high, even during the lowest of lows. He kept his head high, and right now he's arguably the best goalkeeper in the Premier League. I was watching a terrible stat. I was reading a terrible stat today. The team that has conceded the most shots in the Premier League this season is Manchester United. We've conceded, I think, 197 shots, and we don't credit Andre Onana for being a good goalkeeper, sticking up and staying, because any other goalkeeper could have considered rather a lot more goals than Andre Onana has, a lot more than Andre Onana has, because this team has for a long time been so poor, extremely poor, and for some reason it's the manager taking most of the heat. When are we going to really come out and say that these players really have got to act professional, play professionally? And I'm going to call out one by one. And when I get to the last one, I'll drop the mic and see you again tomorrow. Andre Onana, for me, I think has improved. It's okay for you when you're just a new player at a club to struggle. It's normal. Players struggle at new clubs. It's a normal thing to happen. But how you pick yourself up and improve and show the right attitude, I think Onana has scored 90, 80, 100% with that. He's consistently becoming a better player, showing what he's capable of. And he believed in himself even when he was at the highest lows. And you would see that he was trying to put in the hard yards. And eventually, when you put in the hard yards, the results come. So with Andre Onana, for me, no qualms about him. I'm sure Ineos will be impressed with him. I'm sure the legends of Man United will be impressed with him. I'm sure the fans of the club will be impressed with him. I'm sure he will be impressed with himself. So for me, Andre Onana, nothing really to go back and forth about him. There is nothing for me to go back and forth about him. Go next to Diogo Dalot. Again, improvement. Like Onana, Dalot has been improving by the day, putting in the work. Every game you see that Dalot is trying. He's one of those players trying, being played out of position, being forced to invert himself, being forced to play as a left back. But he has been there every day, working hard and trying to do better. You see a player who wants to play for the manager, who wants to perform, who wants to play for this badge. You see his passion when we win a game of football. You see the passion in Diogo Dalot. And he's one of the less earners at the club. This is a United player, but he's one of the less earners at the club, but he's showing the heart a lot more than the guys who are paid a lot of money, who somehow we can't talk about, and they seem to be bigger characters than the manager. They make it difficult for the manager even to bench them, or even to, they're probably not trainable. See, there is one thing to be a bad player. It's a whole different thing to be bad and non-trainable. Scott McTominay is not a good player, but he's trainable. Those are players, if I'm a manager, I would rather stick with a trainable bad player than one who thinks they are great, but they are not trainable, and so they will stay stunted, but yet you have to play them. They're earning crazy money. I'll come to that one in a bit. Central defense. I think, honestly, our defenders have tried. I think the worst defender we had by his standards was Harry Maguire. Right now, he has stepped up his game, and Maguire is an important centre back for us, at least with what we have. Varane, we can't say anything about him. It's injuries, and of course, the injury he got, it was a precaution. Erik Ten Hag confirmed why he pulled him off at halftime. It was a precaution, of course, with what his history with injuries. We know what it is like for him. So when he gets such a knock as he was attempting to block a shot to goal, it's right that you precautionary pull him off really, and you can't blame Erik Ten Hag for that. Where we are now, Lindelof, not really Varane, but you clearly see that he puts in the hard work to try and do the right things and get and play for the team. Lisandro Martinez, nothing to say about Lisandro Martinez. Impeccable for such a professional. No wonder he's a World Cup winner. Left back, we have no natural left back now. The ones who should have are injured and all, but you see that even Luke Shaw is trying to push himself to return. I cannot fault him that much. It's injuries. I mean, it's unfortunate, and I would want to really see him leave, not from a bad place, but it's unfortunate. We need to win, but he's injured. He's not giving us value. It's part of the game. It's unfortunate, but I can't fault Luke Shaw. When Luke Shaw is fit and good, he's one of our best players consistently. So I won't blame him. Wan-Bissaka is not a natural left back, but you can see that he's trying to perform in that left back position. So you may not blame him that much. In the middle, Little Kobe. Casemiro tries. Now, for me, the problem then goes with the attack. And that is, for me, the problem gets with the attack. Casemiro, when he's there and his feet is okay, you see that he's trying. He's even going to push himself from the number 6 to go and score goals. Kobe Maino is Kobe. He's a young player developing, but you can see he's taking a lot of weight and responsibility. The problem for me comes with these attackers. The weakest link at Manchester United, by the way, starts from Bruno, going forward. Bruno Fernandes has failed to be consistent. And again, partly why I blame Bruno will again, I think, dissolve and oscillate towards the manager. Really, it will end up with the manager, because again, for me, it's mostly how he uses him. But Bruno Fernandes, hard worker, good heart for the club. You cannot question his heart and desire and heart for the club. But the way Bruno plays at times is like a player who is frustrated and just now running around because he has to play and he has a captain's armband. I feel like with his qualities, with players like Kevin De Bruyne rating him, Bruno is not playing the smart football we expect out of him consistently. Honestly, there are games where he has come, and the one thing that has been consistent about Bruno is the hard work. And no one can come out here and say that Bruno is not a hard worker. We can all say Bruno is a hard worker. But you see, it's not just about hard work. It's about how does this hard work help the team? How does it improve the team? You're the captain of the team, but at times the decisions he makes are not good at all, are not convincing. And you can't blame that on the manager. At times, some of the things he has done, I'm thinking he was almost costing us a goal. Shooting unnecessarily at times, playing lazy passes at times unnecessarily, trying to be so smart at times unnecessarily. These are things that show a player who is frustrated, and they're just doing things because he knows, I'm the captain, I'm a starter, what will he do to me? The whole team is bad. You see a player who is frustrated and you see when a player like Kobe, a young good player like Kobe, plays with such a frustrated lot that does not have desire, their levels will also go down. If you play football, you know that if you play with a very good team, you become very good. That's why Kobe immediately became so great with England. Yet, when you play with a very bad team, your levels are most likely also going to go down to them. That's what Kobe is doing. That's why the Kobe of England, trust me, in Kobe's first full debut for England, I think, was a better game than any game he played for United, probably. Mwila Mutale, our performance 100% poor yesterday. For sure, it was 100%, but do you blame it on the manager? And you see people already now calling for the head of Erik Ten Hag again. But for me, I'm thinking, I mean, this cannot be about the manager. I mean, you cannot say that a team plays the way they played against Liverpool and they come against Brentford and they are this bad and it's the manager. What would he have done? This squad he selected was the best we could have with the circumstances we have. And it's the same squad that beat Liverpool, literally. So there is no excuse, the same players. So then the problem cannot be the manager. The problem, yes, the manager might have his issues because I don't like how he makes us play, how we play. His style for me does not sit well with me as a United supporter. But even then, it's not about me and what if. I mean, these are professional footballers. The reality is the players are not doing enough, starting from the captain. And you see these players, the young players, the Kobe's will go in the press conferences and wax lyric about Kobe, about Bruno Fernandes and talk well about him. But the reality is, he's not inspiring them that much. I don't think he is. He's only trying to make his talks a lot on the pitch, trying to make himself the captain, but he's not really leading by example. The only thing that Bruno is leading in is the work rate, running and running and running. And I'm thinking, is that it? For such a creative player, are you just going to run to no good effect? It's not good. So for me, I think Bruno is a weakling. That's why I keep saying that whereas he wears the captain's armband, he's not immune to the bench. Bruno cannot be immune to the bench. And you see where we are now. Erik Ten Hag has got to get into a situation where he should play players who want to fight. That's why players like Sofiane Amrabat, players like Mason Mount, right now should be the players he's thinking about because these are players who have the fight in them. And at this stage where we are, clearly these guys cannot play football. We just want to fight and finish as high as we can. So play players who are willing to fight consistently, die for you consistently. Scott McTominay, for example, not a good player, but he's a fighter. He's a work hardy. He tries. You see that he has got the heart and the desire to try and fight and do better and perform and win a game of football. I was still talking about these attackers. Talk about Garnacho. Garnacho is not consistent. He has failed to mature. I was watching him during, and you see his full debut for Argentina was overshadowed by Kobe, but he also made a full debut. But he's lucky that the focus was on Argentina, on England and Kobe. But he had a terrible game. He played 71 minutes of that game in the US. But Messi was passing him balls, and this boy was just wasting ball after the other, doing those lazy dribbles, and that cannot win you the World Cup. He cannot. He's playing with a World Cup winning team with some of the best players in the world, and he's playing the way he plays lazily at Man United. You clearly would see the difference between the Garnacho of United and that of Argentina is day and night. At United, he's one of the better players. At Argentina, he was made to look like a street boy. You go and watch the highlights. He was losing balls. He was trying to make dribbles that made no sense, but Messi kept passing the ball to him. So Garnacho is also failing to mature. And I know he's a promising young player. And I don't want to say that he's bad and he's off. He's a young player who is promising. But you see, if you start, I think he has started the most games for United, I think after Bruno and Onana since he joined. I think if you've been playing so many games consistently like that at this level, that's experience enough. It's not about the age. Kobe is younger than Garnacho, but Kobe is making the right decisions. So you've got to mature with experience. Obviously, you've got to step up to change something. But Garnacho has failed to mature for me. He does good things, but the good things he does are because of his skill that's unique. So on a good day, he will perform. But even when he does 3 good things, you see in the same game, he will make 3 or 4 other wrong decisions. So failing to pass the ball to pick up Højlund, the striker, when he has to, failing to pass the ball, play for a 1-2, and tries to dribble all the time, do the same thing all the time, which is good partly because you're daring until it works. But I mean, you've got football is now a team sport. You've got to be able to do things that are going to impact the game. And at times, maybe those things are the simpler ones. Just pass the ball. That's exactly why Mason Greenwood is shining at Getafe. He knows when to dribble on his own. He knows when to pass the ball. He knows when to shoot. Decision-making maturity in the head. How many games does Garnacho need at this level to be able to improve his decision-making? And guys, let's not just sit here and fear to talk about certain players. It shows you, I remember back then when Garnacho and Co and Bruno and all these guys, Marcus Rashford, were refusing to pass the ball to Højlund. Clearly, you would see that this was a collective decision from these players not to pass the ball to the young man. Collectively. And you don't say these ones were just failing Ten Hag. Of course, they wanted to fail Ten Hag so that his 72 million pounds player does not perform and he's sacked and they're okay, they're earning their money. Honestly, guys, these things, there's politics in football like that. And at a club like Man United, expect it to be even more. This politics is there and it's always initiated by players. That is why we hear a lot of funny things said from this dressing. These things are true. You hear that players were attacking Højlund for doing an interview with Mark Goldbridge. But players were saying this about the manager. He makes them work too hard. So when are we going to blame them? Well, of course, the nature of the game is that the manager has always got to make it work. But you see, to what end? To what end? You play so well against Liverpool, and the next game you can't put 3 good passes together against Brentford, and still it has to be the manager. Come on. It's clear that these guys, they knew that against Liverpool, we have to perform. This is beyond what we are. The fans will eat us. So they will play football. The next game against Brentford, that's the manager's game. So they excite the poor old man. Ten Hag is only what, 53? But the guy is looking like he's a 70-year-old guy. They are stressing the life out of the poor guy. At times you see a man, how do you score such a goal and in less than a minute you're conceding? It cannot be. In less than a minute you're conceding. And again, we have to blame Erik Ten Hag. What could Ten Hag have done? What could Ten Hag have done about that and to stop that goal from Asia? What? He made the substitution that gifted the goal. Casemiro passes to Mount and the goal comes in. Credit Ten Hag. Made the right substitution. Really? Can we fire at Erik Ten Hag for the goal we conceded 3 minutes later? Really? Is it the manager? At what point will these players be blamed? Rasmus Højlund. He still has a grace period because he has shown us what he can do, and I don't want to attack him a lot because I know he makes the right runs. He was sprinting right. But still, Garnacho was refusing to pass the ball to him. He's trying to get back to his full fitness, but he has shown that he can score goals. He has got the right attitude. I don't have issues with Højlund yet. I honestly don't. Marcus Rashford. Guys, and I'm tired, I'll be honest, there are people out there, and it's okay, everyone is entitled to their own opinion. And for me, this is the problem I have with we United supporters. We are overly patient. It's okay to be patient, but it's bad at times. It borders being naive to be overly patient. Marcus Rashford has just made it clear to us that he doesn't even respect this club anymore, that he's just too full of himself. He's too proud and arrogant. I am telling you, and I know many of you perhaps could have been at Old Trafford and Carrington and seen just this boy's attitude, even from the way he drives. If you see how he drives into and out of Carrington, you see how he walks out of Carrington. Look at the way he looks at the supporters. If you see how he looks at the pitch when he scores, if you add on his celebration, this celebration of his, you clearly see an arrogant, proud, disrespectful boy who does not deserve to play for Manchester United. Honestly, the way he plays on the pitch, we are chasing a game, and Marcus Rashford, our most paid player, a player who inspires a lot of hope among so many young supporters of the club, so many naive supporters of the club, is the one killing the pace of the game, playing like he doesn't care. Playing like he doesn't care. When his colleague Scott McTominay are sprinting from the box to the other box to try and get a goal, Marcus Rashford is there just trying to showboat. Poor attitude. Everyone is attacking him. Do you blame Erik Ten Hag for putting him there? for being patient with him and putting him there? Should it be Erik Ten Hag to blame him for not having the one thing that Marcus Rashford has is not skill. He's not skillful on the ball. Marcus Rashford is fast. That's the only thing he runs, just running actually. I think he can compete with Usain Bolt in 100 meters. He's just fast. He's not skillful. But instead of using his pace to help the club, he's actually killing that pace. The fastest player in the team is killing the pace of the team, and is the most paid player. Somehow we can't talk about him. It's the boss, Erik Ten Hag. And then he's the one leading gangs and trying to come out and tell us about how people don't know his story with Man United. I was watching, by the way, it was such a painful game to watch against Brentford, because from where we came, where this poor man, Erik Ten Hag, tried to get us from. And you can see in his press conferences, if you follow, you see it that at some point, he got to a point where he felt, maybe now we are there. Again, capitulate. Plays so well against Liverpool. Again, capitulate. If you read Erik Ten Hag and his facial expressions and his body language in the post-match press conference after Brentford, you would clearly credit him for his character. I think a weak guy would have resigned, because whereas I know he wants the money and what, but Erik Ten Hag is not he's not a broke guy. For these guys, it's not about the money, really. Erik Ten Hag would resign to that Man United, and next week would have a job in a big club that would probably pay him even more. That's obvious. Just know that. And no one would go on saying that he's a bad manager. In fact, he has established himself as one of the best top managers in the world, even if it ends tomorrow for him. On Thursday, even if Chelsea beats us at Old Trafford, at Stamford Bridge, and they fire him, Ineos chooses to fire him instantly, Erik Ten Hag has already assured the world that he's a top manager. He can handle a top club. So it's not about the money that he fears that when he resigns. No. The man has a character, because let me tell you, if you're not a strong character, if you're Ten Hag, you would have resigned a long time ago, because these players, by the time this man even came out and said that we don't have the quality to be consistent, and somehow the players still don't care. These players don't care. It's like they're involved in funny, they're in funny ways conniving, because Ten Hag perhaps mistreated their friend Sancho. These English boys are probably, some of them are ganging up to try and support Sancho. Then probably because of how ruthless Erik Ten Hag is, and how he punishes them, and trying to set standards. So there are always going to be those elements that will reject and feel that so strong. Perhaps they go down in corridors and say he will also go. Now, we've seen many. They have come and gone. He will also go. We've seen bigger managers. Van Gaal came and he left. Moyes came and we failed him. I felt hurt listening to Wayne Rooney talking about how he saw the dressing room reject David Moyes on arrival. So painful. Which kind of players are these? At what point will players take ownership? For me, let me tell you, by the way, and if I'm Ineos right now, what I would do to just make a statement, even if Ineos are not impressed with Erik Ten Hag, would understand. I would wait to sack Erik Ten Hag and just overhaul that squad. Terminate contracts, cause a scam, shake players up. Terminate contracts of these players. And these players don't know, by the way, that most of them, if their contracts are terminated by Manchester United, they might end up in the Saudi Pro League. Many of these players will either end up in the Saudi Pro League or end up at very small clubs in Europe. Very small clubs, by the way. Luton, what? I'm telling you. Nottingham Forest, small clubs in Europe. Because these players are not good. Look at the entire Man United squad. How many of our players would play for Man City, would play for Arsenal, would play for Liverpool, Chelsea, even Chelsea, this poor Chelsea, that's not performing. For me, it's not even about just having poor players. Most of the Chelsea players are better than most of our players. It's just they are young, inexperienced. It's a new era. It's a new thing. The whole new structure is new. Everything is new. And just that people are not patient with them. But these players are talented. That's the reality. They are more talented than most of ours. Give them time. Structure works well. The new coach, the new style, they gel, they will perform. Let me tell you. Just think about the last transfer window. How many of our players were even flattered by a team from Saudi? These Saudi guys were throwing money left, right, and center. No single player of Man United was linked to a Saudi club. No single poor these players are. So they might feel so big, and because they are playing for United with their big funny attitudes, I'll tell you, Marcus Rashford can leave United and end up at a very small club. The only one club that he can play for perhaps is PSG. And honestly, I don't rate PSG personally as a big club. It's a club with a lot of money playing in the French league. So if Marcus Rashford left United and went and double what he's earning at United with PSG, I don't know whether that would be progress, because PSG will definitely be playing in the Champions League all the time. What will they do in the Champions League? That's, for me, I think, a downgrade. These players are full of themselves, but they're actually nothing. The good players, the funny thing is, the good players at Man United are the ones putting in the work. The Kobe Mainos, the Casemiros, the Varens, the Lisandro Martinez, the Onanas, the Hoylands. The good players are the ones putting in the work. There is this funny thing people keep saying, and I think that Bruno could go to Barcelona. Where would Bruno play in Barcelona? He wouldn't. Let me tell you, and no disrespect to Bruno, I love him, I respect him. But you see, he's talented, but you see at 29 and how he's playing now, he leaves United, Bruno will struggle to find a decent club to play for. Good evening, Web. Most of our big-headed players should go and play for a club like Norwich. Yes, they're just disorganizing everything and giving us false hopes and just disturbing the poor guy, the manager, making him look so bad. And for some reason, he can't go. And when he talks about them, then Sancho will throw tantrums. They'll go over social media. Then some of us will attack him for being too ruthless. What on earth is he supposed to do? Run mad? What should he do, really? How are these professional footballers? How are these? Why is it that a young boy like Kobe comes into this club instantly and is playing football? Why is it like Lisandro Martinez, Casemiro? Why is it that Onana? These players are playing well. That Onana is passing the ball well, like Erik Ten Hag wants him, he's saving balls. It means the issue is not actually the manager. The issue is these players. Omo Moses, well done. Yes, good to have you here. It's these players, and I'm afraid, of course, we might lose the next two games. I think Chelsea could beat us, but of course, we know that these players against the big teams, they will psych themselves up, because for then the big teams, it's not about the manager. It's about now them. They know the fans. They will face the wrath of the fans. But against Brentford, they play useless football, failed to put three passes together. We all blame the manager. But we are good. This team is good. We beat Liverpool. No, they'll go to Chelsea now, come and respond, play Chelsea, yes, so well probably, and get a draw, or even lose, but honorably. Then we are away. Okay. Then we go to Liverpool. They psych themselves up. We beat Liverpool. Let me tell you, and this is why I blame Erik Ten Hag. If I am Erik Ten Hag, I'm telling you right now, there is nothing to lose. Manu is in a transition. Top four is looking unrealistic. I honestly don't think we even deserve to be in the top four. I didn't think we deserved to win against Brentford. Thank goodness we didn't. And this is a proper United fan saying this. I think we actually we got more than we deserved. We did not deserve anything from the Brentford game. They should have beaten us terribly. They should have beaten us. It's okay. I would have been here and said it's okay. That's what we deserved. Honestly, we deserved nothing from that game. But they let us go to Chelsea, and I don't care what happens. But if I'm Erik Ten Hag, I would just overhaul this team. Start Onana in goal, Diogo Dalot on the left, on the right, Wan-Bissaka on the left, or probably Harry Amas. Bring that young boy, Harry Amas, play him on the left. Central defense, have Lisandro Martinez and Varane, because they are playing, or Harry Maguire. In the middle, have Kobe Mainoo. Casemiro has a good attitude. You can see that he's playing. He has the heart. Casemiro. Have Scott McTominay start. Have Mason Mount start. Have Hoyland start. Have Ahmad start, and Garnacho on the left. Then on the bench, I would have Kambwala. I would have Amrabat. I would have Lindelof. I would have all these players who show the right attitude. And I would not give 2 minutes to Marcus Rashford. I would take long. I would bench Bruno Fernandes for about 4 games. in this title race, and I wouldn't care what happens. I would bench Bruno for 4 games. You're sending a message. I remember when Pep Guardiola joined Barcelona, you know how he disciplined and pushed out Ibrahimovic? He benched him 4 games, I think 4 or 5 games, and you know his character walks up to him. Look at what I see. I don't know whether Ten Hag is not empowered. I don't know. He seems to be empowered. His national team guys are doing it. Southgate is benching Rashford. Rashford will not go for the Euros. Can say this here. With the quality that is in England now, how does Southgate leave Oli Watkins and take Rashford? Or how does he leave Ivan Toney and take Rashford? They may not play the same position, but you would rather take them and force them there. Rashford is a fraud, and I'll tell you, even PSG will not come calling for him in the summer. We might be stuck with him. These players are bad. I think the crazy contracts they were given by the past administration make them think they are so good, and somehow they are untouchables, that they know because United has been in the habit of changing and firing managers, they will still do the same thing. Let me tell you, just please, Ineos, and I'm begging Ineos right now, don't sack Ten Hag. Keep Ten Hag and just let go of all these players at once, one summer. Just let go of them to whoever, even if you have to pay them to leave, pay them to go. It's okay if they have funny contracts that you cannot undo, pay them to leave. Show them we don't need you. Terminate contracts, go to courts, let them take us to football court. We fight wars and we show them that, you know what, you're not as important as you think. Because they are disrespecting. Man United is losing the honor, the respect. We are losing the respect. How can we fail to put 4 complete passes against Brentford and we are still blaming the manager just after playing the way we played against Liverpool? Meaning these guys can play football, they just don't want to, they just don't care. So I was seeing on my TikTok, on one of the videos I keep posting, someone said the United fans are more serious than the players. 100%. We the supporters are more serious than the players, and we expect somehow the manager. You see, the poor man is so serious. He's changing things around Old Trafford. He's trying to fit in. He's pushing so hard to make it work. The players don't care, and somehow they are the important players. They are the top earners. They are the ones you can't talk about. They are the English boys. They are the star boys. They are the big names. They are the what? They are untouchables, player power, and so some of the media will brag about it. Then social media, then when they want, they turn up. When Rashford wants, he will turn up. When it's the big team, he turns up, and the media say, big game player, Rashford, big game player, our big game player. Then against Brentford, he's wasting time. Just nonsense. Nonsense. By the way, I am done. In fact, for me, let me tell you, there are certain players I would lose before losing even the older ones. I look at it right now and I'm thinking, I think actually would rather keep Casemiro, keep Varane, even if they are old. Keep Casemiro, Varane, poor Maguire, keep them. Let go of these Rashfords. Let go of, I mean, Bruno. There's something wrong with Bruno, by the way. There's something not right with Bruno. All I seemed to think about it, to send, to communicate it, but there's something not right with Bruno. Something is not right with Bruno. Either he was frustrated because the whole team was not playing, he was the only one trying, but the thing is, there is something not right with our captain. Something is not right. We love him, he's a good personality, character, but it's not enough, guys. The standards have got to be up so high. It's not enough. Something is not right. These Garnachos, these little boys, that Garnacho should be first sent back to the bench for him to understand that he's got to mature. Make the right decision. He's shooting when he should be passing the ball and then slaps the ground like it's going to wake up and tell him, hey guys, let's rewind. Bench him, let Ahmad play. And these are the changes I expect Erik Ten Hag to make in the Chelsea game. I want to see players like Ahmad starting. Rashford on the bench. Mason Mount should be starting games. Rashford should not be starting games ahead of Mason Mount. He's back now, he's fit, he has scored a goal, he's ready to go. Against everyone's will. And he made him his first signing. That boy will die for Jones. Mount out. Garnacho benched, rested. Okay, let's call it. I don't want to go hard on Garnacho yet, but just for him to grow up, rest him a bit. He's beginning to get full of himself. He thinks now he's a starter, so he can do what he wants. Bench him. Let Ahmad start on the left, on the right. Let Mount start on the other side. Scott McTominay in 10, Casemiro and Kobe. That's it. Something needs to be done, because if Erik Ten Hag keeps doing things the same way and expecting different results, I'm afraid he's going to leave before the season ends. That's the reality. You cannot keep doing the same things the same way and you expect different results. That's what Erik Ten Hag seems to want to do. Hoping against hope. There is no more time to hope. It's 9 games left, guys. It's 9 games. Man United is struggling. We are languishing in 6th position. We cannot finish in the top 4, by the way. Forget about top 4. And I don't even want us to finish in the top 4. We don't deserve it. We don't deserve it. May I believe in getting what you deserve in life? We don't deserve. Tell me we deserve top 4. How? How do we deserve top 4? And we go in the Champions League and do what? We play like that. We are humiliated again in Europe. Like we were knocked out by Copenhagen, a group that has Copenhagen and Galatasaray. Bayern was the strongest. We failed. We are rock bottom in that group. And you want us to go. Trust me, if we went back, we would be worse. We would be worse. We don't deserve to be. Let's play Europa, and we don't deserve to be there. And it's not even the manager. It's the players. These players don't deserve. Before we get to Erik Ten Hag and his questionable tactics at times, the players first. The players do not deserve anything. They don't deserve to be playing for this club. We need to be getting rid of them. And I'm hoping that Ineos is taking note, and they are planning to solve these things. And you see, there's talk of us being failed with Dan Ashworth. We don't need Dan Ashworth. We can have Webb Daniel. Webb Dan, I'm here. I'm here before Ashworth comes, before you decide whether you can pay 20 million pounds for him. I can clean this club properly for you for free, by the way. Just give me I don't even need to take a flight to the UK. Just give me a call. I'll do it on phone for free. I can proper clean this team for you. It's not rocket science. Anyone knows. We can see. You just look and see which players need to be out. That Rashford needs to be out. Garnacho needs to be rested to grow up and to mature. Bruno needs to be rested to know that he's not untouchable, because he's blocking opportunities for players who are willing to fight for the club and willing to do stuff. So that one should be benched. If we get those out first, we shall have a clearer template of what we want to do and where we need to improve. Before we even go into the players who are aging, it's the characters. The biggest problem at Man United is the characters in the dressing room, and the rotten tomatoes are known. You don't need to be inside that dressing room to see them. They are seen. They are known. Deal with them, Ineos. Otherwise, you're also going to fail. Let's wait for the summer. My name is Webb. My rant is done. My rant is done. So the top 4 race, honestly, I'm just now watching Man U. I'm not even going to use the word enjoying. I'm just watching Man U because I honestly don't think we are going to be in the top 4. I don't think it's going to happen. I actually don't think we deserve to be in the top 4. These players don't deserve to be in the top 4. Because if they make it, then we shall start being confused. You know what? Maybe we change the manager, then we get ideas. No. Let us be beaten out of the top 4 so that we know that we are so bad that they just leave. Some of them should just even be ashamed not return to Carrington. They go. And we get new players who will want to play and fight, who deserve to be in the top 4 to play in the Champions League. Not these ones. They don't. They don't. I can't wait, stay up in midweek, stay up for long hours to watch these players. No, I was hurt enough. Do you know, be the best thing in football? Late night games used to be the best thing in football. But the only reason I honestly, let me tell you, the game against Brentford, I switched off in the About the 60th minute, I switched off mentally. I went on. I was done with my watch along because again, me, I don't force it because then I don't want to sit here and when the game is so bad and boring, it becomes difficult to sustain it when you're talking alone here like this. It becomes extremely difficult. You can doze as you talk. That's the reality. So and my gadgets, just also got tired. And then I'm like, well and good riddance. I stayed watching the phone, rather the game, and while I was on my phone WhatsApping. So there was nothing for me to watch. I was just peeping there and seeing. I switched off. Even the one thing exciting about United for me right now, lately, the one thing I'm excited to watch about United is Kobe Mine. In fact, I was worried before that game that Kobe was feared ill, that he wasn't going to be in the game. I don't know whether I was going to watch it. It would be so difficult because it was starting late. And if there's no Kobe, what is there for me to watch in Man U? But you see, even the boy is being made to look like he's an average player. The players are not working. He's the only one trying to run around to beat people off. What? He's suffering alone. He's suffering alone. Like there is no desire. But you saw him enjoying himself with England. Him, Jude Bellingham, and Declan Rice. You saw that this boy was enjoying himself. You would clearly see it. But at Man United, he's struggling. His poor boy is suffering. And you look at it and thinking, why are these players paid? He's earning £20,000 per week. They're earning 300 and what thousand pounds per week. And so they feel so big and great. Then they pretend to be giving him instructions. God. By the way, if Marcus Rashford stays past this summer at Manchester United, if Marcus Rashford, and I will say it here, and I know there are people here who watch this channel who want Marcus Rashford. We keep him. You are the people tying wrong elements on the club. You don't know how to read people. You either don't know how to read people and non-verbal communication. Rashford is a rotten tomato. He's going to spoil every other tomato we have. Rashford should be as far away from Man United as he can. Yes, I don't care whether he scored a scream against Man City. It's not even about what goals he can score, whether he has scored 30 of 90 goals against the Big Six. You can pull out his PR team, can gather all the stats and spread them and do what? This is a generation of PR. For me, honestly, I am mentally done with Rashford completely. And it is all just how he behaves, his facial expressions. I can never stop thinking about the time at Old Trafford after the Tottenham game when he had a decent game. He had a better game than most because the entire team was bad. He had a fairly better game and the fans were all cheering him and all. After the game, after having such a game, the least you can do, okay, it's not a must that you should sign autographs for fans and what. And me, I did not want Rashford's autograph. I'm not interested. But the kids, you see, to them, they just see Rashford. And somehow he's loved by the fans of the club. That's the funny thing. Fans love him. Maybe because he scored 30 goals last season and all. But he could not even put his head up and just wave to these people. He was looking at them with this disgusted face, like, oh, then as he walked straight to his car. And then he drives like he's a mad guy going to knock anyone and everyone. Like he's so proud and he doesn't seem to care. Then he drops an interview saying people are complaining about his cars. Who cares about his cars? Does he want to think he drives the best cars better than all Man United supporters in the world? It shows you the attitude of this boy. It shows you the attitude. His attitude. Even when he is clapping with the supporters, you don't feel the connection between him and the fans. It's not there. Everything now points to Erik Ten Hag. I watched Erik Ten Hag speak after that game, and I honestly felt for this guy. He has his issues. Let's first put them aside. We can sit down and scrutinize Ten Hag's coaching and his tactics, and I've said it consistently that I have reservations about the style he wants to play. I believe though he can adjust it, because I've seen now Onana playing one route, rather those long balls. Those are okay. They don't put us under pressure. So we can deal with his style. I don't think he's entirely one-trick pony. I think he can be creative as a manager. He's a young, improving manager. Before him, these players have got to be dealt with. Ineos, deal with your players. Deal with your players, or deal with them, or we're telling you, deal with them, or deal with them. Deal with them, or Ineos, deal with your players, or now wow. Good night.